Last week on the Poisonrana Patreon, we talked all about the hit US sitcom Friends in a brand new episode of Up Yours. Why is it that Friends gets this criticism and not like every other TV drama and TV sitcom that came out in the last 20, 30 years?
I always think of the Seinfeld versus Friends thing. And I again, grew up watching a lot of Seinfeld as well. And I definitely love that show. And it's a tough question to answer. Do you like Seinfeld or Friends more? Because I find that they're kind of the same thing, where it's like, they talk about dating, they talk about sex, they talk about day-to-day lives and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But both are like kind of, I find Friends is a bit more like, has a bit more love in it, where Seinfeld, like, all the main characters are legit dickheads who, like, you don't want to root for.
Like,
Get this show plus NXT retro reviews, wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much more over at patreon.com/PoisonRana, and it's only $5, so what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Poisonrana.
Hello. Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poisonrana. You found us on whatever podcast app you are listening to us on, or maybe you are joining us
live on youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. Hello, YouTube room.
Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Poison pals. Hello, wrestling friends. We are here to talk about some wrestling, and for the first time ever, we're talking about wrestling. But as I look out our window, there is legit wrestling going on outside because it's Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Happy Cinco.
Happy
everyone.
5-5.
55024 something. I don't know. There's wrestling going on outside because Demand Lucha, our friends over there, are doing a show right outside at the Harborfront Center, and we happen to live outside. So we went outside to go watch it, but they were really delayed by the mariachi band and the...
It was meant to start at 1, so we're like, okay, let's push Poisonrana back to 2:30 because that way we could probably watch the whole thing. So we're getting there. We both arrive about 1:10.
Yeah,
and then we're like waiting, and we're waiting. And we're waiting.
And there's dancing. There's Spanish achy breaky heart.
Yeah, a lot
dancing.
of people in Jarritos, like
Jarritos, big dresses and cowboy hats and everything.
And then this lady just goes, a lot of you are asking when the lucha is starting. Well, it's Mexican time. So we're like, well, fuck. Okay, let's go and record this show.
So we go back in to record quickly, and as soon as we sit down to go click record, I look out the window and I can see the ring right now, and the wrestling starts. I'm like, So
it's like that, that Simpsons sketch with Homer. It's like that guy over there. He's gonna do something. He's gonna do something crazy. He's gonna do something, and then he turns away, and you hear this. It's like, fuck.
So they have more wrestling later.
Yeah,
so we're gonna go catch it at 7.
I don't know how long it's gonna go on for, but hopefully we can catch the end or something. So we'll try and keep this tight today.
Yes. So happy Cinco de Mayo, happy wrestling weekend. If there was some wrestling, there's always wrestling on, and we're gonna talk about some backlash from France, Lyon, Chris Lyon, France.
Yeah,
yes.
Let's get the plugs out there quickly. We've just released our latest episode of Up Yours, where we talked. What did we do this week?
Well, we did an Up Yours Friends.
Yes,
yeah. Friends.
And then we did a reviews from the 6th covering Backlash 2004. We were looking at the 20-year anniversary of that show, featuring Cactus Jack, Mick Foley versus Randy Orton.
Yes, classic, iconic match. The pay-per-view is pretty good. The WrestleMania main event rematch as well with Redacted versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Good match as well. So we got to chat all about that pay-per-view over on our Patreon, as well as that Friends review, as well as all the other shows. What's Next is there from a couple weeks ago. And this upcoming week, what are we recording?
I'm waiting to hear back from our world champ patron.
Okay.
I believe we're doing Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. But if we don't hear back, we might be, card subject to change.
Fair enough. Yeah.
We've got a few picks in, so there's a bunch of people we can hit up. So World Champ family members, check your inboxes because I might be reaching out to you. We'll try and get something confirmed by the end of the day.
Yes. So lots and lots of podcasts over on the Patreon. And I can tease some things this week. Next week, you're going away. You're going away for a week. We are doing an Up Next on Tuesday, and you leave the Wednesday. So the following week on Up Next, John Cena is going to fill in for you, and we're going to chat about some NXT that night. But that's in a few weeks. But while you're away, see, in a few days, is the 25th anniversary of quite possibly the greatest movie to have ever come out. And I thought, we've never reviewed it. And there's a reason why, because I was waiting for this and then I forgot that it was coming up. So thankfully, I saw a news article on it saying, oh yeah, it is the greatest movie ever made, starring Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser, The Mummy.
Oh God.
So while you're away, I have invited Scrump from the PWT cast, who also really loves this movie far too much. So we're going to both ooze over Brendan Fraser and The Mummy from 1999 later next week at some point. And if that's not enough, I love impromptu podcasts. We have a show on this very feed called What Up, Doe with B. Detroit and John Cena. And, well, Wei Ting, bless John Pollock, but he can't quite have the deep conversations about going of the Kendrick and Drake rap. And kind of the same. I don't think I can get too into it with you, to be fair, right?
I haven't listened to a single thing. Kendrick Lamar could walk into our apartment right now and I wouldn't have a fucking clue who he is. So I'm completely
So you're
the wrong
team
person.
Drake?
No, he's not a rapper. He talks over pop beats.
Davey usually hates Drake. So
He sucks.
He's to keep you updated, it's over.
Right, because he's a pedophile.
I said to you when this started, as soon as Kendrick says that line, it's over. And that is now in the world of hip hop. That's the thing going. So we're going to have at some point this week an impromptu What Up, Doe with B. Detroit, John Cena, myself, and Wei Ting.
Awesome. That sounds fun.
And we're going to dissect the entire Drake-Kendrick beef. So that will be coming for free this week at some point. We may even go live in some way, shape, or form. So
cool.
Follow the socials for that as well. So lots and lots of podcasts.
Speaking of going live, I know Bushby, Brandon, and Dickie Bird are going live on Friday.
Nice.
I believe 1 p.m. Eastern time, but check our socials. We'll confirm that. They're going live for the first time on this very feed with a brand new episode of Eagles Don't Hunt Flies. And they're looking at John Moxley in Japan, part 1.
Nice.
Yes.
Excellent. So lots and lots of podcasts at your fingertips there. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Follow all the socials at Poisonrana Pod and check out all the stuff we got for you.
And meanwhile, whilst talking about Dickie, head out over to chop-tees.com where he's released a bunch of new spring items, a whole load of new hats, etc., etc. They all look fantastic. I know Dickie's very thorough with his quality checks and things, and I think these are the best hats we've had so far.
Yes, check out all the stuff. chop-tees.com. Not only is there Poisonrana stuff, but all our friends Post Wrestling and Kings of Sport. That hat looks fire as well. So check out all the other stuff, and that helps support your favorite podcasters, whether it be us and all the other friends in the game right now. So appreciate everyone who's rocking the gear. I see the pics. I seen you at WrestleMania weekend rocking all the stuff. So it's all love, and I really love it. And
it's great because people recognize it. We were just chatting to a guy outside.
Shout out Alan. I think his name was Alan.
Yeah. I thought it was Chris, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I don't know.
Usually I'm bad with names, so that's funny.
Shout out that guy.
Yeah.
Who was waiting for the lucha to start as well and recognized the Poisonrana hat and stuff.
I'll say the hat, like Mania weekend, wearing I'm wearing my own gear. It's like I'm a wrestler, but sometimes when I go to wrestling, I got to rock my own Poisonrana hat now because I can. I didn't always have my own hat, so shout out Dickie. And it helps because people see the frog and they're like right away they know what it is, so it does work. So
yeah,
and thanks to anyone who always says shout out, because we've been in North Carolina, Philly, no matter where we go in wrestling towns, people are recognizing the frog. So bless all you listeners out there. I really do appreciate it. Should we talk about some graps?
I guess so. I guess we should start by heading over to Lyon for Backlash France. We had a little watch party yesterday at Gabby's. We didn't really know what to expect, doing a bit of a daytime one for, let's be honest, a little bit of a lackluster card compared to sort of what we've had with WrestleMania and stuff. But we had a nice little turnout. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves and were asking if we'll do more of these in the future. So I think we're eyeing up that Clash at the Castle in a few weeks. But yeah, I actually thoroughly enjoyed watching this with people, and this right off the bat, I think it's what everyone's talked about. This crowd in France were just awesome.
Yeah,
and elevated this show so much.
Yeah, I was living off of like 2 hours sleep, and I got to the bar, and right away I was like, I think instead of a beer at 1 p.m., a coffee could help me come alive. And having a few people there to like watch the show with, I think helped me wake up. And I just wanted to sleep, and then turned on the show, and the crowd right away just made you go, no, okay, this sounds like fun. So I think it was like 4 cups of coffee that really woke me, and a joint that I was like, all right, I'm watching wrestling. And yeah, the show had a lackluster card going into it, no doubt about it. But this is where a crowd elevates a show. We're going to talk about Dynamite from Winnipeg later on this show. And oh boy, do I got beef with Winnipeg. You don't deserve any more wrestling ever again. So good. I hope you had a fun time, because they're never going back there, because you losers can't even cheer for wrestlers or boo them even. You're just there. You're just there. And no more wrestling for Winnipeg. However, let's go back to France. Let's go back to Europe. Let's go back to everywhere that are fiending for wrestling.
It's amazing. I mean, jumping around a bit, but I watched the press conference after with Triple H, and just how it's taken this long to go to different markets. Like, why are we running Corpus Christi? And sorry, I always pick them as like the shitty
Winnipeg.
Like when you've got these fans all over the world who are dying to watch wrestling and are so passionate and just bring so much energy to it. Triple H said a few things, like he hinted at Italy being a place. NXT Italy could be coming finally.
It's gonna happen.
But just said from this European tour, the crowds there were absolutely wild. And he's like, that's how you get a PLE. You bring the noise. You sound great. You bring the energy, and we'll come back to you. So I think, maybe Backlash Italy, like Backlash in Rome or something next year would be really cool. And then one of the media guys at the press conference brought up the fact that there's like a 50,000 seat stadium down the road, and Triple H is like, well, it's funny you say that, because halfway through this show, I get a text from Nick Khan going, stadium? ? So absolutely, France is something they'll be looking to go back to. And it's understandable when you see a crowd as fucking crazy as this.
Yeah, like, look, the Bash in Berlin in a few months in the summer, like that's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
People are going to be just so hungry. And Triple H is saying it's the biggest gate for a WWE arena show. You look at the prices of the tickets. Those people are cheering because they paid a lot of money to go to this show. Holy crap. Those look so expensive. So you really had to love wrestling to go to this show.
Oh, absolutely.
So no matter what, if you got, the card you got, you were going to cheer for this, because it was the first pay-per-view there. It looked very, very expensive to go, but wow, the crowd really seemed to have a good time, and they brought this show to life. Like, I thought right away they were engaged, and not just, I mean, to be fair, I still heard one or two Seven Nation Army chants, but the Phenomenal song, like,
it's so Phenomenal Club. It's like this, I think, 1997 pop dance song. And just like, who knew it? Like, Puerto Rico, it's like EO's hometown, and Leon France is AJ Styles.
Bailey in the UK.
Bailey's in the UK,
EO in Puerto Rico, but AJ, France, he's going to come out with French gear on.
It's just, and because he's got this, new character he's been doing the last few months, where he's like super like serious and mean, and he's fucking jacked, and he's standing there looking all like mean, and then these so great. I put it on as we were closing at work yesterday. I queued it up. We've got a French busser,
right?
Who's awesome, and he's only 19, so absolutely wasn't born in 1997. Right. But I just queued this song on. He's like, sweeping, mopping, wiping down the bar, and then he's phenomenal, hey, and he's like singing along, and this song is clearly just.
I do know this
huge.
song. I've heard.
I didn't recognize it from the crowd, but when I like played it, I was like, oh, I know this song.
I feel like I've heard it at like 90s dance nights and all that shit, so I do know it. But I thought that was hilarious. That like
so good.
They got it. He's a hometown boy now.
Yeah,
in Lyon, France.
Who are Germany going to adopt?
Yeah,
it's going to just be someone fucking random.
You never know.
They just fucking love Braun Strowman or something in Germany.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of popular German songs or something about red balloons.
Germany has some wild songs. That,
we learned that last year. So I mean, right off the top, that crowd with AJ, they made AJ feel like the biggest fucking deal. In years.
But let's go to the beginning. We had the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga in his WWE debut match, taking on Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. This became an impromptu street fight, which I think was exactly the right move. The crowd were so just hungry for anything, and I thought this was great fun. That crazy, like we're seeing Kevin Owens set up these chairs, and normally it's like, Kevin, what you doing? You know you're going to be the one taking that bump. But that crazy fisherman buster, like off the top to Tama Tonga through this, I thought was nuts. I thought it was like a really fun opener. Again, like this crowd elevated it, but I thought all four worked pretty hard. And then, fans are we're proper, was next NXT 2013 guys here, and just seeing like Camacho and Sylvester Lefort tear up this building.
Can we give ourselves the credit? We're like the only people that were probably talking about him, but we for months were saying like, yo, he better show up on that show.
It's like we were saying like the only people we can think of are La Resistance, who aren't from France.
They're not French,
but Sylvester Lefort. He's the only guy that came to our mind, and fuck yeah, he was
Legionnaires,
SmackDown and Backlash. So yeah, I had fun with this opener.
Like Cino, I didn't watch SmackDown, and Cino sent us a message, and it said, like, yo, one of these security guards looks like Sylvester Lefort. I took that as, hey, one of these guys looks like him. He's a French guy with long hair and a beard. And I was like, ha 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 ha. Then I watched Backlash, and I knew right away who that was. Yeah. Of course, I know who Sylvester Lefort is.
He looks exactly the same.
Someone listening is like, who the fuck is Sylvester Lefort? Listen to What's Next, because
we got to try and get him on a show.
He was like a manager. He was with Dax. He was the money-making fighting
Legionnaires, which was Rusev and Dax Harwood, Scott Dawson, with just some French fashionista guy.
He's been through the ringer in NXT back in the day. So seeing Sylvester Lefort, even just as a guy getting beat up by Randy Orton, was just brought a tear to my eyes. Shout out Sylvester Lefort. We love you. And we need to get him on a show because we've had his back from. He's so funny.
Yeah.
He's so funny in the old NXT days. And you can hear us talk about him quite often on What's Next. But wow, the Legionnaires.
Yeah.
We need a shirt that just says Legionnaire.
Yes.
He won't sell it, but we will.
I'm going to try and get hold of this guy one way or another.
Okay, so I popped more for Sylvester Lefort than probably anything else on this show. So that was great. But then in great, I know him as Camacho. He's
Tangaloa.
Tangaloa.
Yeah.
In great Camacho fashion, botches his debut in WWE.
Did he? What happened?
Bro, that ref counted one,
counted
two, and then went, someone grabbed my leg, bro. He wasn't even out of the fucking ring yet. It was a whole, I looked at the screen like, why did the ref just go, and then he's there. And I was like, okay. That was a little funky, but
this like kind of went under the radar. I think everyone's expecting Jacob Fatu to show up. Tangaloa, I wasn't aware that his like deal with New Japan was up. I'm not a huge Tangaloa fan, but I do like we're beefing up this bloodline thing. I think there's possibly more money in like Gorillas of Destiny than there is both those guys as a singles act, and being part of this bloodline as well. I wonder, I'm eyeing up like peeking at Survivor Series for the 4-on-4. Could still have like a Hikuleo show up. Obviously we're having Jacob Fatu. Who goes to what side? I don't know. Maybe you have, Solo and the three Tongans, and Fatu is actually with the Usos and Roman for that kind of 4-on-4 War Games match, if that's the way they go. But yeah, a bit of a surprise. Like, I'm really not a fan of his work.
We're not going to get hyped up about Camacho.
No, but like, I am enjoying the bloodline and just seeing, fuck it, just throw all the Samoans, all the Tongans in there. Like, why not?
Yeah, like having Paul Heyman with these guys is pretty great, going back through his history. So at the ECW arena in Philly, in line at the bar, I ran into the Tonga twins from WOW, and I said to them, like, hey, you better get involved in this bloodline. They need some women in this, because I think they are legit one of the best women acts going in the indie scene and for WOW. And they said, keep watching. So I'm praying that they show up.
So you've also got like Naomi hitting the 1D later in the show. Obviously, like a shout out to like Jimmy, her husband. And the way you're having Naomi and Bailey be so friendly, like Naomi congratulating her after the match, and that makes me think a heel turn's coming as well. So if you're having like, or not necessarily a heel turn, but joining the bloodline at some point, you could have this whole thing. Like, sorry to go skip ahead to Survivor Series again, but think you could have Roman, the Usos, and Jacob Fatu with like Rikishi as their like manager,
right?
And maybe Naomi on the outside as well, and then you can have Solo leading Tamatonga, Tangaloa, Hikuleo with Haku in their corner,
right.
And the Tonga twins. Like, there's so much you can do with this, which would be pretty cool, I think.
Like for now, it's the smart move to keep things interesting. It is one of the popular acts, but it still feels like a step down from where we were, like obviously with The Rock and Roman. But
sure,
I'd say like Solo and Tamatonga put on a pretty good match, and the crowd really helped it, right? So it's still a popular act, like going, and I hopefully it helps like create Solo Sikoa and Tamatonga and fuck it, Camacho. As I feel like that was such a like, well, everyone's expecting Fatu, I got to do something. Okay, fuck it, I'll call Camacho. I swear that's legit probably how this happened.
But it made me, I was like, oh, okay. I
was like, oh wait, I know that guy. Wasn't he Sin Cara? No, that was the other one.
That was Hunico,
his partner.
Fuck it, Hunico's
he's technically as well. Tongan too. Get him in there with the pike and everything. Let's go.
I liked after the match. I'm enjoying Owens and Randy's chemistry a lot. They seem like these, two veteran. I mean, I've really enjoyed Randy in his later career. Like it's kind of been since that Austin interview where he's like, yeah, I was a dick a lot of my life, but I've kind of grown up, and now I realize I love wrestling, and I still want to be one of the best at it and things. And I think it's infectious, and that kind of comes off. And I feel Owens is in the same kind of boat. Like, we've seen Owens be heel so many times, but it's like, I just like wrestling and beating each other up, and like, but also these two as a team, it's like they've both turned on the most amount of people in their career. They could turn any second. That either can turn. I think it's going to be a pretty fun run with them. I do see them taking the titles off of Waller and Theory, and then probably like GOD or something like that taking it off them.
I mean, they won, they beat them, so they should get the title shot, but really they're heels too. So.
And then I think you can have like obviously the inevitable Owens Randy Orton feud, which I don't feel we've ever really had. So I thought this was a fun opener with like a lot of different things moving forward. You can see stories like spiraling off too. Yeah.
And again, the crowd are really into it, which elevated it, which also helped. I mean, all the matches on this show, including the next one where Bailey putting her title on the line against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton in a triple threat. And I thought this was pretty fantastic as well. At one point, I'm like, I think Tiff's taking it. If you just from how well she's been performing. And again, the crowd really elevating every little thing. They were really hot for Bailey, Naomi, and Tiffany. But this was one of the best women's triple threat matches in a long time. And it's coming off Bailey versus Io WrestleMania, which was also one of an all-timer. So really, I thought this over-delivered.
Yeah, Bailey's having a strong run with the title. I think she needs to find a bit more, like, now she's moved on from the heel persona. She needs to find something else with her babyface character, I think, to connect. People like her because she's Bailey, but I do think she needs something else, like maybe change the look up a little bit more, or definitely change that shitty music she comes out to.
I hate the music,
just pay for Paramore. Why not? But Tiffany, like, again, broken record, but just steps up every single time.
Yeah.
She feels like she absolutely belongs in this mix. I don't think it was her that took the pin either.
Right.
So I think that could set up for, Tiffany being like, hey, well, you didn't beat me. So you can do Tiffany Bailey down the line, and I wouldn't be opposed to putting it on her pretty soon.
Yeah, honestly, like we've been singing her praises on NXT for a year or two now, but she not only belongs, like she's top tier when it comes to some of these women wrestlers, and I think she could be a huge star. She's already caught on the Tiffy time stuff, the shirt and everything. Like, all the way to the top. So she could be taking it from Bailey sooner than later.
Yeah,
if you see that coming. But I thought this was pretty good. That moonsault, though, no one's got a better one than her right now. We also had Damian Priest putting his World Heavyweight Championship on the line against Jey Uso. Now, you would have thought Jey Uso was from Lyon, France, too, because, oh my God, this place went crazy for him.
His entrance was amazing with all the flashlights bouncing up and down.
Oh, man, I don't know. And then Damian Priest came out, and it was crickets, unfortunately. I love me some Damian Priest, but it's just, you would have had Triple H call an audible at this point. Like, put the title on Jey.
It shows how much, a catchphrase and like an entrance or just something to really helps. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bryan Danielson's one of the greatest wrestlers who's ever laced his boots, but the thing helped him get to that.
The thing?
The yes thing helped him get to that point in WWE.
Oh yeah.
We all knew he could wrestle, but what got him to that main event, a lot of it was that chant. Yes.
Yeah. You need something because before, what did we Bryan Danielson?
Bryan.
That's right? Like,
you think of like those days in NXT where like people were going nuts for Bobby Roode because he had a cool song. Like, not the most exciting wrestler in the world, but it was like, fuck, glorious. Nakamura's song, like stuff that you can chant along to. And Jey Uso on this singles run has just captured it.
Yeah.
Yeet.
Yeah.
He's got a cool song and he's got a move everyone can easily join in with. Like and you watch this arena going crazy. I thought with the flashlights on the phone just looked so cool, just seeing these lights just bouncing up and down. And it just made him feel like one of the biggest stars.
He got the biggest entrance. Like the place was shaking. The place was literally as it was literally later.
The camera shaking at points.
Bobbing.
I really like Damian Priest as well. I think especially after we saw it kind of with Sammy's moment, you have a big, good match with a celebrity where you protect them and you make them look good. I'm talking about the
Bad Bunny?
Sorry, with Sammy, it was Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
And then you saw his reward, like the next year, he's in a main event. I kind of feel like this with Priest. Like Priest had that killer match a year ago with Bad Bunny, and now it's like, here's your flowers. But he's in a weird place right now where he's still a heel. He's starting to turn babyface. He doesn't have a catchphrase. You can't sing along with his song. So it was just like deathly quiet for him compared to like everyone else on this show.
I mean, then by the end, they did the angle where he's mad.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, they were helping you win the whole match. It wasn't like, it wasn't just at the end.
Yeah.
Like they were doing it multiple times and you didn't realize.
Yeah.
But he's ended at the end, he's mad that they like were beating up Jey. So they're somewhat turning him babyface, which could necessarily help him. But I thought this was pretty good as well. And the hope spot of Jey winning like a few times were pretty good.
I can see it happening at some point. I wonder if they rematch this because the next pay-per-view isn't that far away. But I got into the match. I thought they made the near falls work with the hope spots and stuff, and obviously the interference.
Jey had to prove himself after Mania.
Yeah, I still think he does need to prove himself a little bit. Like I think he still wrestles a bit like a tag team wrestler, which is, come in, hit your super kicks, hit your splashes, and then tag out and let the other guy do a bit. I need to see a little bit more from him in ring because it's very spammy of the super kicks and stuff. Whereas, Priest has a little bit more interesting offense. And I think he does need to step it up on that count. But that being said, I got into the near falls and I think the way his entrance was and the way the crowd took to him made you be rooting for him more. And like wrestling means nothing if you don't have an emotional investment in the people,
Yeah.
right? So, and I definitely thought that helped this one.
Yeah, the crowd are into it. And then we had the tag team match, the women's tag titles on the line. Kabuki Warriors, Asuka Kairi versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. And this had some good stuff in it as well. Jade is definitely protected with Bianca, but then hits a lot of the big moves just as good and looks very impressive. I think there was a part in this match that something fell apart with the ref. Was it the ref telling someone they're not the legal person?
Kairi wasn't legal. And I mean, you don't know how much is a bit of a language barrier as well, but Kairi wasn't legal and she was in there with Jade. And then I think Jade was trying to get her to realize that she's not legal. And then Kairi tags in Asuka, who is already legal.
Yeah.
And it felt like suddenly it came to a bit of a standstill. And I'm just there going, please bring Bianca in to just sort everything out. It was a shame because it really like derailed the middle of this match. And I think it, exposed Jade's lack of experience. And Kairi, like, I'm a massive Kairi fan. Say ahoy at the end of the show. She's on our set, but she's had quite a few of these moments since coming back to WWE.
Yeah.
That haven't been good. And I thought this, they picked it back up. I thought the finish of this match was great.
The sky blue spot. We've seen Jade in AEW hit this before. On her, so
right?
She brought it back and hit her.
Just looks amazing. Yeah, the hoisting to the shoulders, spinning round, dropping into Jaded, I thought looked amazing. And so I was really impressed with that. I like Bianca and Jade as a tag team, and hopefully it can help, continue Jade being a big star whilst somewhat protecting her still in the match.
Yeah.
But the middle got a little rough here.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what it was necessarily, but something happened. And then they got back on track and the crowd popped for that finish. So Jade and Bianca hopefully make this titles mean something. I thought the Kabuki Warriors were good champs too, but it gives something to do because there can be so many other tag teams that come and challenge Jade and Bianca.
Yeah. The problem is it's like who...
Yeah,
it's a very much you can do this rematch, but then that's done.
Yeah,
it's a very like empty division. So hopefully it's something that they can rehab a bit.
And then we had the main event: Cody Rhodes as WWE champion, putting his first defense here against AJ Styles. This is his first defense, right?
Yeah.
And
here I'm going, fuck it, put it on AJ.
Yeah,
like he's the most over guy here.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Fantastic song. Great entrance. It was shaken for AJ Styles. He's like, damn, gotta come to France more often.
It looked like he was trying not to break because he's like looking all mean and they're just dancing around him.
The French
singing.
community. Yeah. AJ Styles rocking purple. And we all thought, he's just repping The Undertaker for some reason.
Yeah.
But then we realized that when he wrestled Dusty Rhodes in TNA, he also was wearing purple in that match. So this was a bit of a nod to Dusty and the throwback there, now facing his son Cody for the WWE title. But this was great. Like AJ Styles, people have been saying for a while, like, he's washed, he's kind of just chilling. I agree. He hasn't really done too much, really. He's just been playing his Xbox and living. But I thought tonight was one of his best matches in a very long time, if not one of his best WWE matches, because I thought him and Cody really went out there and they did some great stuff. Cody proving why he's the champ yet again. He's probably like, you're singing louder for AJ than you are me. They were still singing his song pretty loud, but he's probably like, come on, guys, don't forget.
Yeah, I really love this match. I think on paper, this looked like good. First time they've just kind of been missing each other in their career.
TNA to WWE, he was Stardust. He went to AW.
Yeah. But my worry is because we've seen a lot of AJ Styles matches where you go, on paper, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens sounds great. But there was a real weird lack of chemistry there.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, Nakamura, cool. We're getting that great Wrestle Kingdom rematch again. Didn't hit.
Hit him in the balls.
There's been quite a few times with that but then AJ has also had weirdly good chemistry with other people, aka Shane McMahon. Had one of his best matches. Roman Reigns was some of Roman's best matches in the company and AJ's best matches in the company. I thought this was like one of the times where like the actual match matched the booking, the billing. I thought this was really good. I loved the the like super Cody cutter towards the end, where I think he almost overshot it,
So
which
AJ saved him there.
which made it look even more devastating. I thought it looked awesome. I thought this was a really solid match between the two of them. I think Cody's like great at just having the like classic main event wrestling style match with a little bit more modern stuff as well in there, and just a really good storyteller in ring. And yeah, I thought him and AJ like tore it down in this.
Yeah, I think it was, again, better than I thought it was going to be, and having this crowd treat it like with such respect was good, rather than it was just somewhere in the States. It probably wouldn't have gotten this reaction just because they were just so hungry and thirsty for wrestling. And yeah, this was great. Easily one of the best WWE matches of this year. I'd say it was pretty good. Maybe like ring bell to bell it's got to be up there for WWE standards. And I feel like Cody, in his travels to Japan, the indies, and AEW, he's picked up some things, like you said, like not all WWE people have some of the like in-ring stuff that hits.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they're kind of just WWE's a little boring match-wise, where he's kind of seasoned up and knows these little things. I mean, he clearly picked up the one kick out on one thing, right? Like that's definitely a Kenny thing, or even Sami Zayn used to do that kind of stuff. But he's picked up that kind of stuff, and I thought that got a good reaction. But the wrestling was great. They were doing like some chain wrestling to begin with as well. And at one point we were just like, fuck it, like put it on AJ just because. But I'm glad they didn't. Cody's got to have a great run. But this was a great first opponent to have it with.
In the presser, Cody was asked like who he thinks his like they brought up, you know, Dusty had Ric Flair. Who do you think your Ric Flair is or is going to be? And was also asked like who he'd like to face. And he kind of brought up, well, I think, you know, like we haven't met yet, but the history I've had with Randy Orton, he could be that guy. He was like, I see Seth as like a bit of a career rival. Brought up, he was like, I'm not going to mention his name, but essentially mentioned The Rock. Like, I want to face him. And said LA Knight as well. He was like, someone I really want to face down the line. So
who would you say is the Saudi? He beat AJ clean as a whistle,
I don't think he will be defending at Saudi.
Okay.
I think you could have, because we've got, which we'll go into after this, we've got King of the Ring coming up and Queen of the Ring. And these are only being like 5-match shows, it seems, at the moment. So you could, you know, Becky wasn't defending on this show.
Right.
You could have a Becky match. You could have Priest v Jey Uso again, maybe because of the interference. Like,
right.
I don't know who you'd be able to heat up in 3 weeks, but I think Gunther alluded to whoever wins King of the Ring will get a title shot. So I think that turnaround, you could have King of the Ring winner, then face Cody at Clash of the Castle, perhaps.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So is CM Punk going to be back in time for Clash of the Castle?
He's done a little physicality, hasn't he?
Right, yeah.
That'd
be a Drew match.
I could see Drew Punk at Clash of the Castle for sure.
Yeah, that's still a little while, right? No, not that long.
Clash is like 6 weeks away. Okay. So we got like 3 weeks till Saudi, and then 3 weeks from there till Clash.
And we got Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. And I think I said this on it, either privately or on the show. I think Drew wins Money in the Bank and cashes in that night.
Yeah.
Because his whole character is the hypocrite.
Right.
And he's been like, you know, oh, Priest cashed in on me. It's not a real victory. It's not a real champ. So I could see them doing the reverse with that. And then you do Punk Drew 2 at SummerSlam for the title.
Right. And then Punk gets injured again.
Yeah, exactly. If Punk makes it that far. Yeah, exactly. Or punches someone in the face.
Yeah, we're so hilarious.
Choke someone out a little bit.
Yeah. We're so funny. Oh, Punk will be wrestling multiple times. Yeah, right. Okay. But yeah, you know what? I thought this was pretty good. And call me crazy. I actually love when they go to other countries and other cities.
You're crazy.
Because look how much these people love wrestling. Just like all of us who watch this shit. So it's great to see a crowd come alive and see this. So I can't wait to see them go back to, you know, where's Clash of the Castle? Scotland.
Clash is in Scotland this year. Glasgow, I think. Yeah.
Right. So like to go there, like the crowd, they're going to be nuts for that show. In Berlin, the crowd's going to be crazy. So like coming to Toronto, you know, we're always like there for the action. So it's like, it's so great to see that and refreshing. So I hope going forward, we get some announcements like, you know, do a show in Japan again. That would just be great. But do shows everywhere else, like
I
Italy,
think
like you said.
I think Europe is definitely a target for them because they also know it's
Money.
Well, it's money
They'll
and
pay
it's
you to come here.
like the euro and the pound is a little stronger than the dollar. So I know there's the expenses of like going there, but they can also, because they run it like pretty rarely, you can charge that bit more and you will sell out. But also I mean, you've done the trip. Like if you live in London, getting to Berlin isn't hard. Getting to Lyon isn't hard. And that's the case with a lot of Europe. It's not difficult to travel around. If you're a wrestling fan, it's going to be as easy for you to go from like Belgium to Lyon as it is for us to go from here to Detroit or whatever, like it's the same kind of thing. So
I don't know, like I'm not doing all in this year. And for anyone who's going, like, why wouldn't you do both shows? Like they're so close to each other. Berlin looks expensive too. It looks almost as expensive as Backlash, as some of our friends have told us, but what a great combo that you would go to 2 different shows in the span of like, I think it's like the weekend after or something. So like that seems like 2 shows that will be absolutely killer. And Gunther will be on that show and probably Dragunov. Who knows what will happen on that one? But you know what? Backlash was great. And I'm happy for the French people getting their kicks.
I love this. I thought obviously there was the crowd. I enjoy the odd like Saturday afternoon show. It's like you just like, oh, what would I be doing at 1:00 on a Saturday? It's like I can just enjoy this, and especially in like the bar setting was really fun. Got to hang out with friends, talking wrestling, watching wrestling. I had a good time. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really did. I like when it's in the daytime.
Sticking on WWE, Raw tomorrow looks fantastic. Have you seen this?
Oh, is this the King of the Ring?
So we got first round of Queen of the Ring and King of the Ring. So tomorrow we're getting Zoe Stark versus Ivy Nile, Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega, Lyra Valkyria versus Asuka, Io Sky versus Natalia. And on the men's side, we've got Drew versus Finn, Kofi versus Ray, Ricochet versus Ilya Dragunov, and Gunther v. Sheamus 3.
That's all on Raw?
All on Raw tomorrow.
Wow. So wrestling.
Yeah.
On Raw.
That sounds like really good. I think it's all on tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's all. Maybe it's spread out, but they're the first round matches. Eyeing up, like, would it be crazy to do? Is it too early to do Gunther v. Ilya in the finals?
Let's go.
Like,
now Ricochet's going to beat him.
There's like Ricochet Ilya sounds like a crazy match.
Yeah.
Even some of the women's matches there, Lyra Asuka, I think would be good. The 2 kickers, could be a big win for Lyra there. Like, I think, just looking at that card, it looks like a very different WWE, to have
Triple H.
Yeah, to have all
PLE.
that announced. And sounds like a proper tournament that you can get your teeth into. Some big names in that, or some people that are going to deliver good matches.
Yeah, gonna have to check that out.
So yeah, kind of looking forward to King of the Rings.
We'll have to chat about that on Tuesday because I'll probably watch some of those matches. Dragunov on Raw, like, let's go wrestling. Wrestling.
Raw looks,
Raw
looks
all these
really good.
Yeah, hopefully it becomes the wrestling show again because the draft had like no wrestling on it, and that was like the big thing after Mania. So it's like, let's go back to. After watching AJ and Cody, I have faith because that was some good graps there for sure. So Backlash was thumbs up for me, and I wasn't that excited going into it, but I have to say most of that is because of that crowd. The crowd can really help your show. If the crowd seems into it, it can help. When a crowd doesn't really show up, like Winnipeg, it can.
I was just going to say, should we do the releases before we move to AEW?
Oh, there have been releases.
Yeah.
Wow. Is this your favorite time
of
year?
It's my favorite time of year.
When
I love
lose their jobs.
Culling. Yeah.
Let's not celebrate people losing their jobs, except for one of them that I saw.
Right, come on. Trey Bearhill wasn't that bad, was
he? He didn't do shit.
Yeah.
He didn't do shit. Bless his heart.
I think we'll get to the big one, but a lot of these people haven't even been on TV. Okay, but the one I really want to pour out is Valentina Feroz.
No.
Valentina and Ulyssa, I thought were a great tag team. Yeah. And in a division that is so threadbare with tag teams, I don't see why you wouldn't have, and they like their kind of international flavor as well in WWE right now. I found this a bit disappointing.
She was misused.
She was misused.
Sorry, what was the tag team of the both?
It was Ulyssa Leon and Valentina Feroz. Ulyssa was released in like previous cuts.
So she's been wrestling, and hopefully she helps and brings her friend back. Maybe they can reform a team or whatever. But she left. She chose to leave. Remember, I'm pretty sure like she got released, but it was like her asking for it. I think. Or
I think she got cut
because she made it seem like good. I want to be doing all this other stuff. Like she was waiting to do that stuff. So you know what? For anyone who's like, oh, I don't even know who these two were. They were helping other talent. They were being used as enhancement talent and jobbers. And they went out there and would steal the show, steal away because they were just so good. And we were in their corner. So seeing her released is a bummer, but they could go do some good wrestling.
Yeah, I hope they both continue to wrestle because I think it might be, you know,
hidden gems.
Some of these people that early in their career might be like, all right, we gave it a go. Let's move on. Whereas someone who's like been wrestling all their life are like, well, I'll go to TNA or whatever.
She'll come back and get paid a lot more money.
I hope so. I really hope so because I thought she like really stood out. You know, a little dance, a little smile.
Sorry, you come out with like a dance and then you wrestle and you're actually good. You should be.
Yeah,
a star.
I hope these two like find each other again and tag and you know do some maybe like a TNA would be good for them.
Valentina,
like that kind of thing.
She got to have a t-shirt. I love Valentina's hot sauce. You got to have a shirt with
that. Trey Bearhill obviously had that little feud with Lexis King. He really didn't do a whole lot for us. But some names I really don't know. Ezekiel Balogun, Julian Baldi.
Yeah, so some of these people released were just featured in that show that they put out. I didn't even get a chance to watch it yet. But the like Tough Enough style show, and they're already releasing these guys.
Yeah.
So like what?
Daryl Mason, Vlad Pavlenko, Kia Saint, Keyshawn LaFleur, and Emma Maria Diaz. And then Triple H was asked at the presser about Gulak, who Fightful and PWI had reported that he'd been released. And then Triple H was like, well, you should get credible sources and all that. Says he's not been released. He says we release people all the time. We're always signing people. We can't just keep hiring. You've got to let go of people. And the media asked about if it had anything to do with the Ronda Rousey thing. He didn't address that. But he said that, he's not being released, but we're not renewing his contract. Fightful then kind of put out a thing where they were kind of took offense. Like Fightful, I think, are some of the trusted reporters out there. Like I tend to find what they say is accurate. Said that them and PWI were given an apology. And I think maybe Triple H was referring to, or like Lay said, maybe he was referring more to the Ronda accusation rather than them, Fightful and PWI. But then went on to say that there have been reports of kind of bullying from Gulak in NXT, where he was targeting injured body parts of opponents, and he dislocated someone's finger and seems to be a bit of a bully. So whether there's some of that, so maybe that plus the Ronda thing, plus
have you ever heard
you're not The Rock, you know?
Yeah, you ever heard Cody Rhodes talk about Drew Gulak?
No.
Drew, it's probably from Fightful, but Cody once, I swear this was AEW. Okay, on Busted Open from years ago, Cody said that he had an altercation with Drew Gulak, who was angry that Cody had a line at his merch table and Gulak had no one.
Right.
And said something to Cody that pissed him off or something. So Cody told the story and said that Cody would regularly text Ethan Page just to tell him how much I think Drew Gulak sucks. Because I guess there's a beef there too. But there's been stories of Gulak doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is, to quote Fightful, one talent claimed that during a match with Gulak, the former No Quarter Catch Crew member purposely redislocated a previously dislocated finger, while another claimed that Gulak would intimidate talent into not reporting the incidents. Fightful also learned of an incident during an NXT taping last year where Gulak was verbally reprimanded by Shawn Michaels and NXT coaches for intentionally spiking an opponent during a match. So seems like maybe just a bit of a bad egg and cut loose, but Triple H saying just opting to not renew, which we also heard about. Scripps, has basically been told,
Yeah.
we're not renewing your contract and it's coming to an end soon.
Right.
So yeah,
I want Scripps in AAA.
Scripps team up with Yulissa and Valentina.
Yeah. I just want him I hope he keeps the mask, because if he's got nothing to do with it, might have to drop some coin on that. Someone needs to own the Scripps mask.
Yeah,
because
they weren't selling it outside, were they? Unfortunately,
they don't have replica Script masks.
Not replica Script masks. I could make you one, Braden.
I think when we discussed it, I had mentioned that in grade 6, I did an art project where I had to make anything, and I made a lucha mask, and it's better than his fucking mask.
Yeah,
this is a mop. His is because he's got dreads coming out, so it looked like it was like a sprouting out of this.
It was like the
Pokemon.
Tissue paper, tassels
mixed with the tassels. Yeah, his hair mixed with the tassels, and then there's like a Pokemon and the orange. Oh my god, he probably has a few of them because there was a few colors. But wow,
I just remember the black and orange.
And
it was like it was also the. It wasn't like jet black. It was that black, when you've washed your jeans too many times, then they're like that faded charcoal.
He had 2 versions of it. I remember he tried to upgrade it, and then it was
really?
oh man, it's still bad. But wow, one of the worst characters ever in wrestling. The Poet Luchador. And
then, of course, Olympic star Gable Steveson has been released.
Yeah.
Which
this is who I was referring to earlier. Yeah. So he was super famous for actually, the real wrestling and all that stuff. And he's a gold medalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty big deal. And him coming to WWE, that's also a big deal. But he's no stranger to having accusations, a whole story. And if you're not familiar at this point, you probably are. But search his name into Google, and I'm sure you'll find some stuff on him. And it kind of felt like that was swept under the rug, and his signing to WWE, but it was still out there, common knowledge about that. And then I don't know, it was like a big stop-start, because then it was like, is he going to sign with WWE? Is he going to stay here? Is he going to go try to wrestle for Paris? The timing of this is weird, because if he was interested in staying with WWE, he would be training and being used on TV. But I'm sure it's past now the time to.
It's something like 2 weeks. It's not a long time.
Yeah.
And if he was in the last round of cuts a few weeks ago, he would have probably made that Olympic team.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But yeah, so it's the accusations out there were of rape, kind of gang rape, when he was a student
in university.
But in the law in Minnesota at the time was basically if the victim was drunk, it's kind of essentially consensual or something like that. It's a stupid law, which I don't believe exists anymore. So if this were to happen today, he'd probably be done for this.
Yeah.
So it's really not a nice story at all. They seem to give this guy a few chances. He appeared on the main roster a few times. He appeared at WrestleMania, had the match with Corbin where the crowd just booed him out the building. Really didn't show much of an aptitude for it. Also, rumbling and rumors and stuff of not being trainable, having a bit of an attitude as well, which, we're pretty high on his brother. I think Damon Kemp has shown a lot of promise, but yeah, I think this guy, and fuck him.
Good riddance.
Yeah, I'm glad they released him when they did.
Good riddance, honestly. Not worth it. Baron Corbin retired 2 gold medalists in WWE.
Love
it. That's the plus to come out of this. Yeah. It's always interesting. It's always well, if as a fan looking at this, if WWE thinks it's okay to have you, then you must be cleared from trouble. That's right. Usually the case, because WWE don't take no shit, really. The Ronda thing comes out and Gulak is released. I'm sorry. That's pretty similar. But then his fallback is, he's been bullying people. He's been kind of a shit disturber from the get-go. That's why we're letting his contract run out. Okay. That you pretty much explained that. You don't need to go into anything else. Cool. There might be other stories that come out. Maybe he's got his own side to things. I don't know. His tweet talking about the drawstring didn't fucking help, but whatever. But this guy, it was always iffy, because we were talking about him on NXT, and I'm again, watching him, okay, well, if he's on TV, he must be innocent. He must be a good guy if you're vouching for him. And then there's still.
But also, look who was in charge when he was hired.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's a different era now, to use that word again. But
Right.
like it is a different, and they don't, especially with TKO, they don't want any of this
Yeah.
stink at all.
But
Like
then
they've drastically cut ties
Yeah.
with Vince McMahon. You know, this guy would have been paid more than anyone else in that next in line thing because of his background and what he's done. Like, think way back when Mark Henry was hired. Mark Henry was on a crazy contract because he was the world's strongest man.
Right.
It's same thing. Kurt would have come in with a lot of money, more so than, you know, a lot of others debuting with the lack of experience. So I think that's the thing. It's probably like compared to, you know, a Trey Bearhill, who probably isn't saving them a great deal of money. They were probably paying this guy quite a lot to, you know, be umming and ahhing whether he wants to go to the Olympics or not.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, this guy seemed like he had troubles. And if this guy's been known for being a dick and hard to work with, and he's got accusations out there, he's got fucking serious shit on him, then like, no, get the hell out of here. We don't want you. And I'm sure he'll be doing, you know, Olympic conventions and things, or who knows, maybe TNA will try to get him, you know, like if WWE says it's okay, you can be on our shows, then that tells other places that you can. That's fine. Right. So it's interesting. I will say, for more on this, go to David Bixenspan's Twitter, because he loves to talk about, that's where I get my information from when it comes to this guy, this former Olympic medal winner, because if the Bix shows me receipts, then it's it.
Fuck, like I never want to be too famous, because I'm sure, even though I've done, you know.
If you ever wonder, is it okay to cheer for this wrestler? Check with him. Because wrestlers are not known for being good people. But anyways, so we like good people in wrestling. So if we're getting rid of your Drew Gulaks and I don't even remember this guy's fucking name, but the gold medal guy.
Gable Stevenson.
Get good.
We've already got a Gable, and he's fantastic.
Chad Gable.
Just think, Chad Gable had to be Shorty G for this guy, because we couldn't have two fucking guys called Gable in the company. And like now they're like, oh, this is the Gable we should back.
Yeah, exactly. Good. I like that Gable. But yeah, so that was all the releases.
That's all the
so
releases,
far.
Yes.
I'm assuming there might be some more.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Look, it's not.
Brindley Reese, get out of here.
No.
Lexus King, Toodle Pip.
Look, if it doesn't work, like, they do gotta cut and move, right?
Yeah.
And this could also be a blessing disguise for some of these talent who are like, hey, I've just been sitting here and I'm not learning anything, or I'm not taking it seriously. It'd be like the kick in the butt to do that. And if you do care about wrestling, it shows after your time in WWE, because you will try to show up in other places. You will try to get better and still make money in wrestling. And some people just disappear and give up because they know like that was it. And you can tell who wants it and when it helps them.
I see this guy maybe trying MMA out.
Who's this?
Stevenson. Yeah.
Okay.
Like if he's not able to do
the
Olympics.
UFC fans will love him. Yeah, put him in the UFC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, UFC fans, but so what else is there before we go into some AEW?
I think we should just move on to AEW.
Yeah. Okay, so Dynamite happened in Winnipeg on Wednesday, and they had the return of the hometown boy, Kenny Omega. Do we start there with Dynamite?
I think so, yeah.
So Kenny Omega comes out in Winnipeg. I guess that was one of the big pops of the night, if you could call Winnipeg doing a pop on Wednesday.
Sure.
Yeah. He comes out looking pretty spiffy in this blue suit. I thought he looked really good, actually.
Yeah.
Considering he's always known for wearing like last month's pay-per-view on a shirt when he does things on TV.
He was dressed kind of like the heel Omega,
yeah,
wasn't he? The suit and the sunglasses.
But he comes out looking spiffy, looking good, and cuts a very emotional promo. And, you know, I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. I don't recall Kenny Omega being a promo guy, and I don't know if it's too far to say this is one of his best promos.
Okay, so like gonna be jumping around a bit, but it genuinely seemed like a retirement.
Yes.
He's talking about, you know, he's diverticulitis, and basically he's got a ticking time bomb that could go off at any time, and he'll have to wear a colostomy bag, which obviously would mean he can't wrestle. And then he's like, but if there's like even a 1% chance I can get through this. Kenny isn't a great promo. he's an okay promo, but I mean, I can't think of one really off
His
the top.
best is in Japanese.
Yeah, I can't really think of one promo off the top of my head that really like hits with me. This felt, and I'm sure it's because there is truth in it. I'm sure he was terrified, like he was, and worried that he'd never wrestle again and stuff like that. But it just felt so genuine that like I thought he was done. I like thought he was saying,
yeah,
I'm not wrestling again, but I'm gonna be like this on-screen GM kind of character because like I love wrestling and whatever. But then obviously you do the physicality after and you go, fuck.
Takes that shirt off.
He was just doing a promo.
Yeah, he was working us.
Yeah.
He's probably, look, I don't know him, but I'm sure he was like, man, the last time people saw me on AEW, I had cut one of the worst promos of my career. And I was like, you know, on pain meds.
Because I was going to die the next day if I didn't go to the hospital.
Die, so I had to step up. So yeah, this was one of the best promos. And then he has the face-to-face with Okada. The crowd goes mild because Winnipeg just don't know a good thing when they see one. So fuck the Jets too while I'm at it. They have a great stare down, two of the best to ever do it, staring each other down. And then we have a bit of physicality with him. He rips his shirt off. Dude's fucking jacked. So I'm like, okay, you're coming back. And then Jack Perry comes out, beats the piss out of him. The Bucks kick the shit out of him, destroy him. A great angle to call up, like to end the show, to go into the Rampage show with him on the stretcher, and then they attack him again. So that's like a great way to.
I almost thought we were going Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns.
I'm not finished
yet. They like tip him off the stretcher, and then I'm like, okay, they're gonna pick him up, they're gonna throw him off a bridge, they're gonna tip an ambulance on top of him.
Yeah. Oh man. So they beat the shit out of him, and they're like, "I'm sorry, Kenny, but we got to do what's best for business." And they do this like great heel angle, beating up their own friend. And the Bucks have done this with Kenny already. Like, you know, are they friends? Are they not? Is the whole AEW first storyline, but this was done really well. And I know AEW is getting crapped on a bunch. Dynamite was still hit and miss, but the main event angle I really enjoyed.
I actually really enjoyed this Dynamite.
You liked it? Okay.
And I think I might have been, at least kind of within like our friendship group, might be in the minority, but I thought it was really good and ended with such a good angle. I think this, I like the whole elite takeover thing. I think that's working. Right down to the, you know, opening the show with their own video and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the Tony Khan thing was like comical because it's Tony Khan taking this, but this felt like a real serious angle now. And the setup with how emotional and believable Kenny was.
Such a good job.
And then having him, you know, getting hit in the gut and taken out and tipped off the stretcher. I thought it was so well done. It's such a big story now. It opens up so many different ways you can go. Like, you know, you can have eventually Hangman probably will come into this story as well.
I don't know. I see different things for him down at All In, but like Kenny referenced to Okada before he then talked to him in Japanese as well. He said, hey, we have some business, and in a few months, I think we should get back to that. I'm assuming that's All In. I would think
that's All In.
Okada.
I would think so. But I do think, whereas in the past, when, you know, I found it getting quite tired where, you know, the Bucks are now just pissy about Kenny having a new friend and all that. It was always like, ugh, this shit again. Now it feels serious. Now it feels
they fucked him up.
They like almost killed him.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels way more serious. And I think Kenny, like when he eventually wrestles again, is going to be as big a babyface as he's ever been. And I thought it was done so well. I wonder how long you hold off Kenny wrestling.
Double or nothing.
I don't know if it'll be as soon as that.
I think it's going to be the weirdest way. FTR just like, hey, fuck you, Bucks. Leave your friend alone.
FTR came in.
FTR come out. Again, Kenny looked good. So I feel like it's FTR and Kenny versus the Bucks and Okada, which is like, hey, we don't have CM Punk anymore. Fuck it, Kenny. You're with FTR Omega.
So what, you got Double or Nothing, then Forbidden Door, then All In?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder, like, if the fact Kenny was like, yeah, you could do that. You absolutely could do that. I don't know if it's too soon because it felt like a big kind of write-off angle.
I mean, it's still a few weeks away, right? Double or Nothing is the end of this month, right? in Vegas. So like that's you just don't have him on TV up to that point, maybe.
Yeah.
And they go, you know what? Kenny is going to wrestle and he's going to fight you guys and Okada. So that's a good way of teasing the palate of Okada is fighting Omega, but now the Bucks are on Okada's side and FTR with Omega. It's weird, but it's like, take my money. I want to watch that match. So,
but now you're teasing, Okada.
Then they beat the fuck out of him again, and he doesn't wrestle until All In, and he goes, Okada, you're the one who took me out.
When's Blood and Guts usually?
Oh,
because that's where you could do, Bucks, Hangman, and Kenny against
Jack
Perry, Okada, and
I don't really get why
Bucks.
FTR are like, you know what, screw you guys. But at the same time,
well, they've got the beef with the Bucks.
Yeah,
that's why, right?
They took the titles from them.
Yeah, and they fucking screwed him out of it.
Yeah,
and they've got the like career rivalry with them. So
I'm fine with that. Like the matches will be good. So
I definitely could see that as the Blood and Guts match. And
so actually, I love this angle with them and Kenny. Again, I thought Kenny sounded so good that for a second there, we watched this. We had some friends over. I was like, Kenny,
I was getting emotional.
I was like, Kenny, don't do this to me. You know how much I
Yeah.
love Kenny. He's my favorite. He's my GOAT. So I'm like, bro, don't tell me this. And it's wrestling. So of course, I'm just joking. I'm actually really in great condition and I'm coming back sooner than I was. You son of a bitch. All right. So I do hope he's wrestling at Double or Nothing. We're just assuming this, but dude got fucked up, which to me in wrestling terms is you're good to go. Like this should be a write-off for a while, but there still is weeks till Double or Nothing.
It's also, we're talking about a show where Shibata regularly wrestles and he had his brain removed from his skull.
He takes his brain out before every match. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Just to make sure it doesn't get beat up. He takes it out and gets it back at the timekeeper's table. So it leads me to Hangman. I think All In main event is Swerve versus Hangman. Like
you could do that
for
too.
the title in a exploding barbed wire death match.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's where we go with him.
I'd be interested what Hangman comes back as, whether he's a heel or a baby face. Because he was leaning heel, but with the time off, I could totally see him just coming back and
as long as he didn't shave that mustache off, baby. Don't do it. Don't shave that thing off. But
that's definitely like for the title, something you can go back
so like, look, I'm pissed because we went to All In last year, but if that's the case, you're getting, a probably Danielson versus Nigel at maybe.
Yeah.
Danielson, Ospreay needs a big match if Swerve's fighting Hangman because Ospreay in Wembley is crazy. But Okada versus Omega one more time. It sounds like and do it now while you can. I think that's pretty huge. So I liked some stuff from, what I also liked from Dynamite. I don't know if it got much love, but Adam Copeland and
Buddy Matthews.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I can do without they're so spooky. They're so scary. I don't know what's going on. Adam, what's going on with you lately? Oh, I don't know. I don't like that. I think Edge is one of the best actors in wrestling. Yeah. But when he's doing, I'm a little freaked out or scared. Nah, cut that out.
I didn't take it as scared.
He's acting weird. Is he?
No, I think he's gonna turn to the rated R. He's being too nice.
Yeah,
that's what it was. He was gonna kill Buddy Matthews, and then it stopped with the blackout and all that. And now he's like thinking like, fuck, I'm kind of, I got that itch to kind of fuck someone up again.
Well, I just assumed he wanted to do that to Buddy Matthews because Buddy Matthews' wife, Rhea, did it to his wife. So he was kind of like, yo, fuck you.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't mind. I think that's something like, let play out, see where it goes. I think the Adam Copeland just being, the nice guy wanting to wrestle everyone, it's got a shelf life of that. And maybe it's wearing thin a little bit. I imagine, I'm going to Collision next week. I imagine I'm getting Kyle O'Reilly versus
Edge.
Copeland.
Yeah.
Is what I would think.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Because Kyle's from Vancouver, right?
But announce it so that people show up.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to announce it till the night
It's not selling too badly, the Vancouver show.
Okay.
Looking on Wrestle Tickets, I think they're around like $6,000 for it, which isn't
better
bad
than most
compared
weeks
to
lately.
some of them.
Yeah.
I for my sins, I quite enjoyed Jericho versus Katsuyori Shibata.
You were loving it.
It was fun. It was fun. The stuff with the hockey pucks, just throwing it at Shibata's head, the trash can.
Take that, brain.
I'm glad. A spot I fucking hate is the trash can over the head with someone whacking it because it's like, no, you've just put a shield on them.
Yeah.
And now you're whacking the shield. That kendo stick would hurt a lot more smacking the body than some steel that's wrapped around the body.
Fair.
So I love that Shibata was just doing the walk forward thing. I actually had some fun with this. It's Jericho has worn thin on me, but I think sometimes he does these kind of gimmicky matches quite well. It kind of reminded me of that wacky Roderick Strong match he had last year, the Falls Count Anywhere.
Yeah.
So I had some fun with that. And I had some fun with Samoa Joe just killing Isaiah Cassidy as well.
Yeah, the walk away spot from the tope was pretty funny. Yeah, like there was some good stuff and bad, but I feel like the way this has been an issue for a while, but the way they present their like champions and stuff. I mean, they have fucking 30 different champions. That needs to stop, because like we were legit having a conversation, and no one can tell me otherwise why the Bang Bang Gang come out with like 3 titles each. And we're trying to figure out, okay, they're the Ring of Honor Trios champions. They're the AEW Trios champions. What the fuck is the third belt? The Scissor Belt?
So the Scissor Belt is the AEW Trios Championship.
Yeah.
So, but I think I think they're holding the original Trios titles as well as this.
Okay.
It's just, it's fucking ridiculous.
And then Okada's Continental Breakfast champion. And then fucking Roddy is the international champion. Okay. All right. So those guys are like on TV a lot. And then like their world champ, like finally they're letting Swerve, but they should have just done that from the beginning. And I feel like now it's like, oh, who's going to face Swerve? And then we get the reveal that it's Christian. And I think that's a pretty good move. I don't necessarily think is that the main event?
Tony usually main events with the title match, even if there's some like Ospreay Danielson didn't main event the show. Yeah. I do see it being the main event. I think when you had Punk v Darby, it was still Christian versus Omega, which headlined. So I do still see it main eventing. It's an interesting one because it wasn't where I thought we'd be going. And it's not as an attractive match as some of the other stuff you can do. But all that being said, like I'm really for it. Yeah. I think Christian is such a great heel, and I think he's going to bring the best out of Swerve. You know, I didn't need to see Swerve showing sympathy for Tony Khan in his like first promo after winning the title. It felt a bit like, come on, you tried to kidnap someone's baby. Right. Like I need a little bit of the bastard in you as well. And I think Christian can bring that out of him. I wonder if they do like a no DQ kind of match, because I think it suits both their styles. And I like how they tied it all together, you know, bringing up the All In loss. Like Swerve was the one that got put in the coffin coffin match.
The Dread.
Yeah. he lost that match. And then even to ripping off the Dread, it's like, this is what cost me.
Yeah.
And then bringing in like the Nick Wayne attack as well, who is now Christian's like son. I thought they tied it all together really well. It was a little unexpected. They're dropping the rankings thing, but I guess you can bring that up with, well, the Bucks are calling the shots now, so fuck the rankings.
And Jungle Boy's cleared it with his boy Christian.
Yeah. So I really like this direction, actually.
I think it'll be a good match too. And I know I say this, I think every time, like Swerve should just be like, it's no DQ. Yeah. Like it's him and Christian in a no DQ style match is what match should be, because Christian low key has crazy nonsense matches with the hardcore stuff. So like both those guys could go out there and really murder each other. So I'm down.
And the tease of, you know, the Bucks being like a great Canadian former champion, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. Them hyping up Kenny and everyone's like, wait, what? And then Christian. So I do think that's great. So far we know it's Roddy, Ospreay, and this match, Christian versus Swerve. So
I'm about it.
Plus that 6-man, which I think will be added. So
okay, cool.
Some big stuff for Double or Nothing.
We stuck around and watched Rampage as well, and I gotta say, like, to considering how dead this crowd were, like Nightingale and Sky Blue, it was some of the biggest reactions.
That was the best match on that show
all night.
Sure. Yeah.
And considering like this crowd were not even particularly loud for Kenny Omega, they got into this match, which I think is a testament to these two women. I thought they put on a hell of a street
Yeah,
fight.
the thumbtacks and the barbed board and everything.
Yeah,
like,
I love this match.
Yeah, it was very similar to Randy Orton Mick Foley from Edmonton, Canada from 20 years ago. So good stuff from Willow and Sky Blue, who I think are two of the more solid like wrestlers that they have. They always seem to be the ones that put on these, and they always want the women to do the crazy stuff on Rampage. Yeah, which is like a bit of a thing there too. But I thought these two were great. I love Willow Nightingale. I think she could be one of the best stars in wrestling going forward. And I know she's finally got this title, but this was a great match.
I wonder if it becomes like a regular thing where Rampage becomes the third hour, whether you do it more of like a, lights out. Like Rampage is where you get a little bit more adult.
Rampage, baby.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to what do we got this week? I forget what they announced, but I'm sure they got some stuff. A follow-up to the angle with Okada and Kenny and stuff like that for sure. And maybe FTR laying out the challenge for Double or Nothing. But I assume this Wednesday, we get a few more match announcements for that show. Like it's only in a few weeks, but still get them out there.
Yeah.
Get people hyped up. I feel like they just had a pay-per-view, but they're going with all these new ones. It seems like once a month or so is
every 5 weeks.
Yeah, which is good for them storyline wise. It helps move things along. So,
but I quite enjoyed Dynamite this week.
Yeah. So anything else? I feel like did you end up watching Dark Side?
I guess whilst we're still on AEW, Ethan Page has left AEW / Ring of Honor.
So they have their own releases.
Yeah. What do you see next for Ethan Page?
Look, that guy is pretty smart when it comes to like, I know he's brought back his wrestling over here in Hamilton. He's got his following there. And like, he seemed pretty savvy of the business before coming into AEW. And I'd say he was misused because there was just a lot of other things going on. And I feel like maybe it was just like, he was tired of sitting on the bench and kind of wants to prove himself. And I mean, you look at the way he's taken wrestling serious from the past few years when he signed with AEW, he got in crazy shape.
Oh yeah.
And he took it serious. So I'd say he's going to be all right. I'd say he takes over the indies a bit more than he was because maybe AEW kept him from doing that. And like, he's always been a really good talker. And I think that he could maybe be an indie star right now.
I'd really like to see NXT.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
I could see him in that kind of LA Knight role. Okay. I think he's a very solid, polished promo. Likewise in ring, who can help out some of these people. But I think he's better than he had in AEW. And I just think the problem was in AEW, there are so many great talkers and wrestlers.
He was always the enhancement talent.
Yeah. So. And I think he's a bigger guy than you really realize as well, I think.
Screw it. Put him in NXT.
So I'd like to see he can always go back to TNA. He'd be one of the top stars there.
North.
I could see him and Josh Alexander feuding for the world title down the line there. But we've also seen him in TNA. Like, I'd want to see who'd have thought LA Knight would be the star he is in WWE.
Yeah.
I think there could be a place for him in NXT.
Nice. I actually really like that. I think TNA is a good idea to have him and Alexander feud is smart, but bringing them together as the team. Right?
But it's also TNA. They do these short contracts, could come in for 3 months taping wise. That's
3 shows.
Yeah. That's a lot. And could do a bit of a cycle and do some indies whilst kind of, in between jobs. Almost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Ethan Page. During the pandemic, when I was covering TNA for Post, he was someone that kind of jumped off the screen for me and was happy for him when he signed to AEW. And he had some stuff, had the Darby feud, the top America Top Team stuff with Dan Lambert and all that. He was featured for a while, but it was always weird. He was putting in groups with managers, and it's no, this guy is the talker.
Yeah,
go with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, be interested to see.
I honestly, I think he could shine anywhere he does land because I think he was just the timing in AEW. It was cool that he was there, but I feel like every time it was not used properly or something. So who knows? But he can go to TNA and feud with Joe Hendry.
Sure,
man, that guy has taken off.
He keeps trending.
I mean, he put his song on iTunes, and in the UK, it went #1.
That's crazy,
and it keeps like staying on the charts because he keeps telling people to go download it. So I did my part and downloaded it on Spotify and all the other things and gave him some views because it's such a banger. Because there's friends I know who go to these TNA shows who don't know anything about wrestling, but always come out saying like, whoever that Joe Hendry guy is great. His theme is great. So to finally see it like catching on and stuff, he should be their champion by like this year because he's getting the most like social media buzz and like it's all him. From what I've been told, anytime he's been in angles where he's played music videos in the songs and just recently he did like a song on played the guitar singing, dissing Top Dollar, who's feuding with. It's all him. It's everything that he has created and like by himself. So I gotta always give him that praise. And finally he's getting some social media buzz. So like that's someone who should be like focused as one of their big stars because he's bringing the most attention to them right now. Like as much as Dolph Ziggler and Matt Hardy are doing their thing, I ain't seeing nothing, a peep out of that shit. It's all Joe Hendry. So bless him and all the power to him. I hope he's their champ. But he's making me. I'm not saying I'm tuning into Impact, but
you're watching his segments.
Yeah, I'm watching these because I'm like, oh, this guy's, what he posted, and he's smart about posting them. Everything he does. So.
He's someone I could see in NXT.
I know. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm like, yo, fuck that owl. Get on over to the Fed because you're hilarious.
But yeah, you mentioned Dark Side as well.
Yeah. Okay. The Sandman episode is fantastic. Now they didn't get into too much of like specific incidents. They didn't talk about him doing quote unquote, possibly allegedly doing LSD before the match with Sabu. We reviewed the match in the pay-per-view, but I wanted them to talk about that and see if that was true or not.
But Sabu does say, I would rather wrestle with Sandman when he's drunk than when he's sober.
Yes. When I'm fucked up,
Van
that's
Damme
the real
well.
me. Yeah. Essentially that's all they said. Like he's a better wrestler drunk than most people sober, but not
most people sober, just himself sober.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I love this episode so much because the story of how he got the name, of how he was wrestling as a beach surfer dude. Yeah, and they were like, "Yeah, you're the Sandman from California," and he's like, "He's not from California."
Which I get. Like he was when he was younger, like you know the blonde hair and all
good
that,
looking, right? And then that's how that slowly turned to when Heyman's like, "I don't give a fuck what you do. In fact, you're gonna bust this surfboard over someone's head."
He forgot his boots.
Yeah,
he was like, "Fuck, Paul, I'm so sorry, I forgot my wrestling boots." He's like, "I don't give a shit. What are you wearing? Go out there." And he's like, "Oh," and just like how everything was almost like an accident. So wasn't it like his entrance as well? Was he was fucked up and his music started playing?
He's like across the street at the strip club.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh shit!" So he just walks through the door, and
then he's like, "Maybe I'll just do
that
show
again."
Yeah. I thought that was great. All the interviews of RVD, who was fucking stoned out of his mind for this interview, who was saying all the praises and Sabu. I thought this was one of my favorite episodes. We were just at the Philly arena, so maybe I have this like weird like interest in it recently that made me like this a whole lot. But I felt like I was angry when it ended because I'm like, I needed another hour on this guy's story.
It's amazing how A, he isn't dead.
Yes.
And B, how like coherent and with it he kind of seemed still.
Yeah. In the past year or so, I seen things online and wrestling fans and stuff. I was under the assumption Sandman wasn't doing too well at all. And then when we saw him do his spot at the ECW arena, we all went, "Oh no, he looks good. He's walking on his own. He's coming out there. He was pouring beers into people's mouths." I was like, no, he looks fine. Like he looks coherent. And then doing these interviews, I thought the same thing.
I did like that clip where you see him go, "Wait, how old are you?"
"How old are you?"
"I'm 22. All right.
He's a good guy. That Sam. I was always under the assumption that this guy sucked. Like, just people hated this guy. That's not the case at all. He's actually seemed like
even
nice guy.
his ex-wives seemed like kind of cool with him.
So I kind of wish I watched this episode a long time ago because like I always thought like this guy looks like he's an asshole. Right? And maybe he was back in the day. But again, this is one of the like I hope Dark Side has more like B-roll because this is one where I'm like, this guy has surely got some stories from ECW days that I would just love to hear him say. So more ECW episodes. Because look, this one's like Dark Side. He's addicted to some stuff, but in the end, like he's still alive. Whereas most episodes, you're just hearing people talk about the person who died. So it wasn't necessarily the most like grim episode, which was good.
I always find it interesting from like the kid's point of view because as a child, everything is just the norm.
Yeah.
Like you have no experience of life,
Yeah.
you know? So that's like whatever your life is just how life is.
Yeah.
But then they interview like his son grown up and he's like, looking back, I was around a lot of just fucked up
Weird
people.
shit.
And it was kind of weird. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy that like they got his kid who was in the angle with Raven and everything.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it was legit one of my favorite
they
episodes.
were like, oh, we needed him for this shoot. So we just woke him out, got him out of bed like 3 a.m. He says his line and then it's like, all right, off to bed.
Because something also I'll credit, like Sandman, was the stories of him committing to kayfabe was true. So I'm happy that they mentioned that with him, where they said we had a meeting point, we'd swap vans so no fans would see us. And like the stories of Sandman were always like, well, I got my ankle broken, I got to pretend I'm at home. And like he always treated kayfabe.
Which is wild when you think this isn't WWF.
Yeah.
This is essentially an indie fed at the
Well, they
time.
were worried that like people may have like followed them or
Right.
driven by and stuff. But like so funny that like he really committed to kayfabe. So yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes from just the series in general. Because I need more stories of people. I don't want this to sound take this the wrong way, but I need more stories while people are alive. Give your stories.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
as much as I love, talking about people who've given us entertainment and are no longer with us, I love that, to give them their flowers now, like our John Tentas of the world, right?
Yeah.
Like no one else will be talking about him.
It's same with like the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. I know people are like, it's a joke of a thing, but like it's nice hearing
Yeah.
these people talk and sharing their story and having their moment, whether you were the world champion or you were just a Coco Beware, it's still like there's still characters that we've watched and like enjoyed and don't know a whole lot about in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
So
that's what
it
I
is
mean.
cool for them. And it's a shame when you have, these people, like you think of a China and how much it would have meant to her, like to have been inducted in the Hall of Fame when she was alive.
Right.
How tragic her story is. Sherry Martel, like seeing what it meant to her being inducted.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
And like, thankfully it was while she was alive.
I enjoyed that episode as
Yeah,
well. Have
me
you
too.
watched that?
Yeah.
Like that one was good. It was very sad with the story of her son, but even the son today who's like, she just really wanted to do this. And who am I to stop her from living her dream? And some people don't have those in life. And she got to do that. It was a pretty sad episode.
Yeah.
Anytime the son spoke, I thought, but still interesting stories. Like there's stories that they use a lot of clips from Sherry from before in interviews and stuff. And like, she's probably got some stories. I wanted them to go in on more of Moolah. Because again, if Sherry were here, she's probably got some shit.
Yeah,
to
they kind of
say.
skirted around.
Yeah,
it a little bit.
they really did it there. I was like, well, but do they have an episode on her? I think already from like, I can't remember, but if
maybe
not, we'll
I think so.
Do another one.
Yeah.
But I love this show. Is it done now, or is there's one more?
There's one more. It's Black Saturday.
Okay, this is Vince McMahon stuff.
I think, isn't it when he buys the territories or something like that?
When he said,
I don't know
worry,
a whole lot about it.
I won't ruin wrestling. Actually, I'm gonna buy everything. So
Shit on someone's head.
Yeah. So Dark Side continues to be one of my favorite things. In fact, the other night I watched it and then I was angry that I was all caught up because that always happens every season. I'm like, now I don't have anything to watch. So then I watched some episodes of Dark Side of Comedy, actually, which I have some of our friends have recommended. So I watched the Phil Hartman one, and I've also seen the Robin Williams one, which was pretty good and pretty sad as well, but very interesting. So more Dark Side, please. I'm sure they'll have another season next year, but they need a whole Vince McMahon like
Series.
season.
Yeah,
because the Rock doing the WCW stuff, that sounds awesome. I'm sure that show will be great. I know Ric Flair's mad he's not been asked to be on it, but
it's called Who Killed WCW, and he's like, I was the main star of WCW. Well, maybe you killed it then, Rick. You were the fucking main guy of this sinking ship. Maybe it was on you.
Like,
I don't
I'm
know.
assuming they got Bischoff, hopefully Russo, maybe Sting. I don't know.
I don't know what new stuff we're getting out of this.
Arquette.
I feel we've seen a lot of this before, but I don't know if they can uncover some new things.
I'm sure they'll make it interesting at least. But yeah, I love all
Is the wrestling still going on outside?
Sadly, no, it did end.
Sake.
But there is another show later tonight, so we will make it in an hour or two or something like that.
5 whenever they choose to start.
So yeah, is there anything else in wrestling this week?
I think that's it.
I think that covers the most stuff that we've talked about today, and appreciate everyone here in the YouTube live chat. We won't be going live next week.
No.
Okay.
No,
so,
I might try and give a little quick recording after Collision.
Oh yes, you're going to Collision.
Yeah.
So any Vancouver peeps, hit Davey up because he'll be checking it out. So No Poison Rana this week, but again, we got a lot of other shows. Follow the socials because we'll be posting about possibly a What Up Doe with Way, B, and Sino and myself chatting all about the Drake Kendrick beef, and we'll probably go live for that. You mentioned Eagles going live sometime on Friday, so again, follow all the socials. Join us in the Facebook group if you haven't joined that already. Find us, Poison Rana, and follow all the socials at Poison Rana Pod for everything else that we do. And then the patreon.com/PoisonRana, $5 to become a friend. It supports us. It keeps the lights on and keeps us going. We just did our Backlash 2004 review. Go listen to that as we have a random impromptu discussion about Eugene from WWE. I say that was worth the podcast alone. Our Eugene discussion.
Yeah.
Was
he really a bad guy?
Hear us talk about it. Thank you, everyone. I myself, Braden Herrington, Twitter, Instagram, at the Brady.
And you can find me at Davie Portman.
And we're going to go watch some more Demand Lucha, but you can also catch them May 23rd in Toronto because we'll also be there. So extreme Lucha block party. So I thought I'd throw that out there because a bunch of us go to those too. So take care, goodbye, and be safe.
Ahoy!
Poisonrana.